we are living in a time where reality TV stars are being praised for being vulgar. At no point in your life should it be okay to throw a table at someone. Do not be fooled. Having good etiquette and being well-mannered is more important today than it has ever been in history, especially in the workforce. It doesn't matter if you're working from a cubicle, shooting a movie, or selling that dream home, because we all have to work every day with people in order to climb higher on the ladder of success. Now, wouldn't it be useful to build up your professional image? Meet our guest today, etiquette expert Jules Hirst, where she teaches business etiquette right here in Los Angeles at Etiquette Consulting, Inc. Hi, Jules.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Me too. So I want to start off by asking you if you can tell us a little bit about your business and how did you get into it?
Sure. So I have been teaching etiquette for a little over 10 years. And how I got started is it actually was a tool for me. I have a high school diploma, but that I didn't go to college. So my lack of higher education at the time, I was 19 when I had my first child, 21 when I had my second, and then I was by myself. So what opened up the doors and people saw in me and helped me, along the way, mentors, etc., was my first impression and my work ethic. So to me, and my parents didn't know they were teaching me etiquette but that's basically part of etiquette. So when my daughters got into high school, it was going to be college for them, but the etiquette part was also important. So I sent them to an etiquette class. And so they would come home and I would go through their workbook, and I just thought it was fascinating. And at the time I wasn't working. So I Googled what it took to be an etiquette consultant. I found a course. I signed up, got my certificate, and I've been teaching etiquette ever since. And I absolutely love it because it worked for me and I can help other people as well. So I've lived it and I teach it.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's how that got started. It's funny because you don't exactly, when you're 5 years old, I'm going to be an etiquette teacher. That's not something that normally, you don't come out walking out with pearls and tea. And you might do all of that, but you don't correlate that this could actually be a career for someone. So that's always like the one question I always get. How?
Because it's not so common, but it's definitely, it's useful to have.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, there's skills that you absolutely need. As you said, in the beginning, it doesn't matter what it is that you do for a living, you need to have those soft skills. And that's what etiquette, especially in the workforce, is. They're just their soft skills. You can be the smartest person, you can be the best in your field, but if you can't get along with people,
no one's going to want to work with you or hire you. You have to be a people person.
Exactly. That's where
you come in.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so now that quarantine is finally over and I hope it is. And our world is slowly getting back to normal again. There's a lot of people now looking for jobs and are trying to get back in the workforce. So there's a lot of interviews going on. What are some interview tips that you can give someone before going in and while they're having the interview? And how can someone build the confidence that they need to land the interview so that they can get the job?
Excellent question. So whether you are going for a job interview online, because we're still doing that, and or if you're going to a job interview in person, number one, you want to do your research. Get to know the company, get to know, the why they started, maybe learn a little bit about the mission statement. If you know who you are going to be interviewing with, get to know a little bit about them, because there's always going to be that opportunity for small talk, and that will impress the other person on the other side of the camera or the desk or etc. That you took that initiative, you took the time, and that shows that you mean business. It's not just, oh, okay, fine, I will go to that job interview, I guess.
Right. Yeah. That it's not just another job.
Exactly.
You want to be there.
Exactly. So, and that's number one. Number two, your mindset, making sure that you're going in with a positive mindset, and you know this, when you start that self-doubting, that negative talk, it comes through. So you have to tell yourself, you have to sell yourself on you first before you can sell anyone else.
Absolutely.
So make sure as you're driving or as you're getting ready, popping up that computer, that you keep telling yourself that giving yourself those positive affirmations. So that would be number 2. Number 3, whether, again, online or in person, make sure if it's online, you have the credentials to get in. Make sure that you pop open your screen, you see what's behind you, because you don't want that to overpower you, right? You want the focus to be on you, not the beautiful artwork or you didn't make the bed behind you. Because sometimes, let's be real, sometimes people have to be in their bedroom for whatever reason. That's fine. But make sure you make your bed.
Absolutely.
So things of that nature. If you're going in person, make sure you have directions, especially, since it's not COVID anymore and the freeways are jam-packed and, you gotta take parking, getting lost, all of those things into consideration. But let's say that there's an accident or cars, stalled, etc. Call them the second you know that you're going to be late and let them know. Even if you might make it, let them know. It's just courtesy, and again, it shows back that perception for you will be a positive one.
Okay, I love that. So you say that we have 30 seconds in making a lasting first impression. What is the most important thing to focus on when first meeting someone?
Body language. Nothing speaks louder than your body.
Oh, wow.
Everything that comes out of your mouth, yes, that is taken into consideration. But has this ever happened to you where somebody says, "What's wrong?" and you're like, "Nothing"? And then they say, "No, seriously, what's wrong?" And you're like, "Nothing. I said nothing."
Right.
Well, there's a tone of your voice. There's you're probably doing this, or if you're doing that, or if you're doing this with your nose. All of that is, you can say nothing, but your body is saying something else. So again, when you're walking into a room, when whatever you're doing, make sure that you have positive mindset. Stand up straight, shoulders back, head up. Now you're not gonna, do this, but
not cocky.
Exactly. But a natural, I'm confident.
Okay.
A smile. So when you do this, that's telling people, stay away from me. So have open body language when you're approaching a place or meeting somebody. Be open, and that's done with your body language, not so much with the words that you use, because again, that's where that conflict might come in. You're saying it one way with the tone, but then your body's saying something else. No, body language, number 1. Eye contact, number 2.
That's because
right there.
Yeah, no, and that goes a long way, because 30 seconds is like a lot of pressure, but just by applying the body language skills that you just mentioned, I feel like will go a long way.
Yes,
because we forget about those when we're like, meeting someone important. You want to say things that you want to impress the other person, but that's really interesting.
Yeah. So and I say 30 seconds, but actually, if we make an impression about someone the second we see them,
That's
right?
so true.
The second you see somebody, whether it's walking down the street, walking in here, it doesn't matter.
can't help it.
We just automatically start formulating an impression. It takes about 10, 15 seconds to be like, oh yeah, we were correct, or oops, I misjudged that person, which happens as well. But it all wraps up in about 30 seconds. You've already cemented how you're going to view that other person.
Wow.
So if we're doing that to someone else, they're doing that to us as well.
Absolutely. So you do have to make that first 15 seconds then.
Yes. So if you're going, back to that job interview that we talked about earlier. That job interview actually begins, if you're going in person, the second they see you. So let's say they are sitting by a window and they see you walking in, and then all of a sudden you just spit out gum. Well, they've already started making that impression. So the second you go anywhere, an interview for whatever it is, make sure that when you're in eyesight, that you're on. Again, back to how you walk, your demeanor, everything. And like those of us who wear heels and we put on shoes, like we might wear comfortable shoes and then we have to, change up our shoes. Again, make sure you do that away from eyesight. So this way, when they first lock eyes on you, you're put together from head to toe.
How about smile? Does that go a long way when you smile?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, that's part of that positive, welcoming body language, that smile. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I'm 28 years old and I'm just now really learning that in life, it's not about who you know, it's all about what you know. No one's gonna really work with you if they don't like you were saying earlier. So how can we genuinely enhance our conversations with our bosses and our executives who can get us a step closer towards our goals without coming on too strong or too desperate? How can we make someone like us more without, being overpowering?
You're like right there, and you're like, go away. So that's
because you want to build the connections,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And there's like a fine line. So how do you do that?
Okay, so you are absolutely correct. Where people do business with someone that they know, like, and trust, right? You're not going to go to trust any old hairdresser. You're going to go to someone that this is my hair on my head. Absolutely. So we do. So with that in mind, we do business with someone that we know, like, and trust. We have to build those relationships. So this goes into that networking, bucket. And networking is not about going and selling your services or hire me. No, networking is all about building relationships, which is to your question. How do we build those relationships so that we are first in their mind in that know, like, trust factor, that I need somebody to do X. So I know the perfect person, right?
Yes.
That's the kind of relationship. Now, I know somebody, but you don't want to go with them.
Yes.
you don't want to do that, right? So number one, so keeping that in mind, that it's about them. It's not about you.
That just set in that just hit me right there, because it takes off so much pressure when you are meeting those people. Instead of trying to make that connection, you're just building the the relationship, and that takes off so much pressure.
Yes, it's like, and that's always like the biggest question when I speak to individuals. I have to go to a networking event, or I have to network, or I'm in sales, so I have to.
You put so much,
yes. Don't make it. I can tell you one thing right off the bat: don't make it about them. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't make it about you. Make it about them. That right there, it's like, it's not about you. Yes. It's about them. It's about their relationship. So what do people like to do? They like to talk about themselves. Ask them questions.
Okay.
Just ask them about themselves, and be genuine. You always have, people can tell when you're not being sincere, right? Have you noticed people and they're talking?
Or you feel it.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. And again, back to that body language. If they are being open and receptive, then continue the conversation. If you see them start to pull out their phone or start to do this and look around, look for somebody, and they have that help me, right. That means just wrap it up,
ease it up,
and just and move along. So when you meet somebody, eye contact, introduce yourself. Now here's going to be the tricky part. Are we going to shake hands? Are we not going to shake hands? Are we going to do the fist pump? Or, how are we going to do all of that? So the thing I have to say on that is pay attention to the person's body language. If they come and they automatically do this, then you know where they're going. If they come and they automatically do this, then you know where they're going. If they come and they stand right here, then that's be respectful of their space, because COVID has been scary for a lot of people. Some of us have lost relatives, and others did not. So we don't know, and that's, we don't need to know, but we need to be mindful and respectful if they want to keep a distance, if they want to do a fist bump, or if they want to shake hands. Just pay attention to their body language. So back to your original question. So all of that, and again, make it about them. But before you leave the conversation, people remember what you do and say longest. So you did really good at introducing yourself. You kept the conversation going, positive body language. So you did all of those things, and then you just, I see somebody over there. So then you take off. It's like, bye.
Right.
You don't want to. So again, it was wonderful meeting you. I would love to follow up with you, get their contact information, and then shake their hand, fist pump, maybe like a little bit of a nod, and then walk away.
Okay, what's a correct way or formal way in asking someone for their information?
Asking.
Just asking.
Yeah. So when you're meeting somebody, especially, let's say you're at a networking event, right? You don't want to dominate somebody's time by just talking to that one person exclusively, because you're there to meet many people, right? Especially if you have a guest list. And so what I would recommend, if you have a guest list, do your research ahead of time. Okay, I want to talk to these five individuals. Well, if it's a 2-hour event and you're spending 1 hour with one person, you're really not going to meet your 5 individuals, right? Yeah. So, about 10 minutes or so, or paying attention to the body language. I would really love to continue this conversation. Would you be open to meeting for coffee next week? Yes or no? What? Yes, I would. Oh, that's so great. May I have a business card? A lot of times we're not doing business cards, so get their information, whether it be, I've seen people like turn their phone around, put your information there. You can also connect on LinkedIn contactlessly. You can also do it that way as well. And then but make sure you follow up with them after the fact.
If you say you're going to do it, do it.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be a red flag on our end.
Yes, and then also, it's also a missed opportunity. Because you don't know where that next break or sale or whatever is going to come from. You don't. So
I agree. For sure. That goes a long way.
Absolutely.
This is a little random, but what is the best way to ask for a raise?
Do your due diligence. Make sure, so know kind of what is, what the going rate, doing some research. Okay, this person makes, the average person makes about 10, 15,000 more than me. Get all of your stuff together. I have done this, I have done that. I've been in charge of, state your case. State your case. Have all of your facts, have all of your information, because that's what, if that was me, if somebody was coming to you, say, I want to raise, okay, why?
Why? Exactly.
It does you no good to ask if you don't have the proof. If you can't sell yourself, so do all of your research and then talk and then make an appointment like you would, someone else, and say, I want to have this discussion. And then again, I've been doing this, and then lay out all of your facts and then get to the point, hit them with, and this is why. And then the average person, makes X amount of dollars. And then hopefully you have done the work and you have your case that you can state as to why you deserve that raise.
Workplace politics exist everywhere, whether we like it or not, it's happening. What are some ways that we can avoid conflict and or like a toxic workplace environment if we are in one?
So one way that we can avoid it is by being respectful. We need to be respectful. So let's just take your cubicle, for example. Yes, it's your space and you have to live in that little cubicle for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, right? So you want it to mirror something that you are comfortable with. However, remember that you're not the only one there. So I'm not gonna put something, I don't know, say I'm, maybe overly political. One side or the other. It doesn't matter what side you're on, but especially if everybody around you is votes one side of the aisle and you vote on the other side. Again,
that's just making people
not right
making
or wrong.
You a target.
But it makes you and it makes other people uncomfortable. How would you feel if it was the other way around? Right. If everybody had their stuff and you don't believe in that. So just being no politics, no religion, things like that are not the best when you have to share a common space, with other people around. Again, back to that cubicle, just because there's only 3 sides, there's no top and there's no door, does not mean that you can just walk right in. So so the entrance to the cubicle, you still want to, knock on that. You still want to wait for permission before you enter. You don't want to go in and just borrow people's stuff. Well, there's nobody here, and I needed this, so I'm just going to take this, right? You don't want to do that either. Again, being respectful. Conversation-wise, again, when you start to see that body language rise, when you start to see, stop the conversation. Again, being respectful. So many things happen because lack of communication and disrespect. If you can just have an open dialogue, so let's say somebody offended me, what is the protocol in the workforce? What am I supposed to do? Do I talk directly to this person? Do I tell a superior so that he or she can be in the meeting as we talk about it? Have those protocols in place and know what those protocols so that you can handle it. But at no time, in no way should you ever say 5 o'clock. You don't want to do anything like that. There are things to do. You don't want to go there. And the worst thing you can do is brush it under the rug.
Oh, really?
Because that will be, so 1 time, maybe 2 times, now we're going on 3 times, now we're going on 4 times. Eventually that's going to get the better of you. So then it's going to become an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first time, yes, we all make slip-ups. We all say something. We all, you apologize profusely, I'm so sorry. And then you move on. But if it's something, it's a recurring, somebody comes and continuously pats me on my back. The first time you say something, I would appreciate you not touching me. Okay. Then he or she does it again, and then he or she, and then it just continues on. Yeah, at some point, after number 2, number 3, it goes up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but don't ever just, oh no, that's okay. No, it's not okay. So if they do that, and then you say, please, I would appreciate it if you did not, we keep our distance. And then he says, I'm sorry. Oh no, that's okay. Well, you stood your ground, and then you're taking it back. Yeah. So I guess it also depends what it is that happens. So.
What about when people gossip? What's the best way not to engage, but also not to seem like you're, leaving the group? What's the best way in avoiding gossiping? Because it happens everywhere.
Absolutely, it sure does. So that's a great question. So it could start an innocent conversation, right? It starts innocently, and then, oh hey, by the way, speaking of, did you see? And then so then now that conversation is taking a turn, right? So you don't want to say, so you don't want, not the second that they start saying something, but at some point you figure out when you can say, I have a lot of work to do. I gotta go. And then you walk away, because you don't want to be caught up in that cycle of just, yeah.
Okay.
That's not a good thing. Just, okay, as soon as the conversation pivots, I have so much work. I'll catch up with you ladies later. I'll catch up with you all later. Whatever your exit, sentences, and then just go back to work.
Yeah,
stay away.
Because I also read that the history of etiquette, the gossiping was a big no-no. That was number one thing that only commoners did.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's still happening today. It's just distasteful when people gossip.
Yeah, it's I would love to live in your perfect glass house world that nothing ever goes wrong, that allows you to be on that pedestal to talk about somebody else. I just would love to see what that looks like, because I know my house is not a glass house.
Exactly.
There's all kinds of stuff that goes on in my home. But there's never time to gossip about someone else. When you're perfect. Okay.
Okay, Jules, now it's time to head on to the dining etiquette session. Welcome to our dining etiquette session. Jules, how do we navigate through all of this?
So it's not as overwhelming and intimidating as it might seem. So we'll go over a few tips and tricks to help navigate the place setting, so that you come off, with great, you'll know exactly what you're doing here, so that you can concentrate on making a positive impression, right? Because that's what you want to do. You want to make that positive impression and not worried about what fork do I use, right? So number one, when you first sit down and you have all this glassware, because you have glassware to your left and you have glassware to your right. So and then you have a bread plate here, but if you had somebody to the right of you, you would have a bread plate right there as well. So that's always, the first thing, well, which is my drink, which is my bread plate? So here is one way to remember. So B, that's your bread plate. M, which is my meal plate. And then W, which are my drinks or my water. So just like the car, BMW, my bread, my meal, my drinks. Solids are to the left, liquids are to the right. Or another way to remember, which people use, they do this. Underneath the table, that looks like a B, that looks like a D for my drinks. So you sit there underneath the table. So if you can't remember BMW, B, meal, water, then you do this underneath the table. Okay, that's my bread. Okay, that's my drinks. So however you remember, whichever method you use, that's step number one, because nobody will say, oh my gosh, you're drinking out of my water glass. But when I have to call somebody to come and give me a new water glass, everybody's gonna know it was you, right? So that's not something that you want to be known for. So now we're all sitting down. The very first thing we're gonna do is take our napkin and put it across our lap. So you just take it off, you put that up in front. So now our napkin is folded in half like this, with the part that opens faces away, the part that folds over faces me.
Why is that? Why should that face?
We'll get into that right now. So it goes like that, very good. So now so our napkin is used for dabbing, not for wiping, not for blowing our nose, not for cleaning up the sweat, and definitely not for spitting out food that we don't like, right? And it's open like this. When you dab in the inside. And then you put it back down.
Oh, wow.
You dab in the inside, and then you put it back down.
I love that.
So that would be right there. Now, sometimes, say you're eating something and it's all over your fork. Again, open it up. You can just clean it out. And then, sometimes it like you're reading spaghetti or something and it's all right there and you like, how do I get rid of this, right? So you just use, although I probably wouldn't do it with spaghetti because it's gonna leave a lot of things right there. All right, so now we know breads are here, drinks are here, napkin goes across our lap. So looking at our plate setting, I can tell that I'm going to have soup, then I'm gonna have a salad, and then I'm gonna have some kind of dessert, coffee, maybe some kind of pastry because I have a fork. With our utensils, we work from the outside, furthest utensil out, we work our way in towards the plate. So the furthest utensil out is our spoon, is our soup spoon, which is this one right out here to the outer right. So now that we're done with the soup, they will come and they will take it away. So now our next plate is our salad. So now we see here our forks are two different sizes. The smaller fork is for your salad and your dessert, where the larger fork is for your entree. And again, it'll be outside, working our way in,
So you're
right?
working outside in.
Correct. So now the next course, so soup is gone. Our next course is our salad. Salad fork, salad knife. No matter if you're left-handed or right-handed, you always start with the fork on the left and your knife on the right. So then people will say the next question is generally, I have to use a knife with salad. Well, unless you're having some kind of coleslaw or something that's already cut, but let's say you have like a nice wedge, right?
Iceberg.
Yeah, how are you gonna do? Are you gonna?
You can't do it with your
Exactly.
fork.
Remember, it's all about impressions, especially like a job interviews. If your job is client facing, you're more than likely going to be going on a job interview eating because they want to see what your dining skills are like. So you're going to cut and then you're going to eat. You're going to cut and then you're going to eat. So now there's two ways to use your utensils. There's the European or continental, and then there's the American, where you cut, put the knife down, switch hands, and then you eat. So they are both, either way is preferred. Some people only use European, others will only use American. Find what method works best for you and stick to that one and perfect it, right? So now the other thing is we're not chickens. So we're not going to do this. So you want to keep your elbows tucked to you. Now, if you find yourself doing where you kind of have that, a little bit of that going on, easy peasy. Put some napkins underneath and don't drop them. And practice this at home. And that'll help you to make sure that your elbows don't do this, okay? So now, our utensils never go back on the table once you've used them. Once they either go in the finish or the resting position, depending on what method you're using. So that's American resting, knife across the top. Blades always face in. So turn there. So the blade, the cutting edge, always faces me. There you go.
Okay.
And then your fork, 10 and 4. The tips or the tines face the 10. The handles face the 4.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then if it
So this is resting.
this is resting American.
Okay.
If you're resting European, there's two different ways. Both the utensils facing up and then handles down, or crisscross at the bottom, like this. Tines are upside down. So when you're using European, the tines always stay upside down. So when you're resting, except for when they're doing up and down, the tines are always going to be upside down. So now I'm through with this meal, right? So we're done, we're laughing. Oh, okay, next meal, I am done. So then 10, again, think of your plate like a clock.
Okay.
So the 10 and then 4 o'clock. So the tips, the tines and the tip of the knife face the 10 and the handles face the 4. Okay? Now, if you're using the European, then the tines, again, stay upside down, 10 and 4. And then those utensils are gone. Okay, so now we're down to the last cards. And then generally, this plate will be gone as well. But since it's demonstration purposes only, and I'll take those just so that our table looks nice and pretty. So now, again, we go to our fork and our knife, and it's all the same thing. Okay, so a couple other things I want to talk about here. We have a bread plate on the upper left, right, and our butter spreader right here. So let's say there's a bread basket right here. Whoever is closest to the bread basket, you pick it up, offer it to the person to your left, and then pass it to your right. Now let's say you don't eat bread. Well, if I pass you the bread basket, oh no, that's okay, I don't eat bread. That's great, you don't have to take it, but it would be nice because the person to your right may want a piece of bread. So just take it and pass it to you and pass it on. You don't, no one's saying that you have to take it, but you know, if you are going to take a bread, if you're not going to take it, then at least pass it on over to your right. Okay, so now I have my bread plate here. So many times I will see somebody pick up their bread plate and then put it in the middle, and then they will start buttering it. No, it stays right there. Okay. So now you don't take a knife to cut your bread. You tear it, you butter it, and then you eat it. 1 to 2 pieces at a time. So you tear, you butter, and then you eat. You do everything right here. You tear it right here, because if I tear it up here, then you're going to see all the breadcrumbs all over the place, right? Okay, so now, again, all of our liquids are here. So this is my white wine, more like a tulip, my red wine, more of a bowl, and then our champagne. Whoopsie, our champagne.
I love this glass. It's my favorite.
So when it comes to how we hold our stemware, we don't want to put our warm hands on a chilled beverage, right? So we want to hold it like this and then just drink. When you're drinking, look in. Don't want to look over. We don't want to be drinking and, you know, be all creepy-eyed, right? We don't want to be doing that. Yes. So, you know, we just drink, look into the glass, and sip. Another tip trick, sorry, another trick that you can do, so especially like since we wear lipstick, or you know, even if you don't wear lipstick, to avoid having the ring of shame all the way around the glass, try to drink from one area. Okay. At all times.
Because it looks tacky the other way.
Yeah, otherwise, especially if we have lipstick on, right? And then it's all, like I said, you know, your ring of shame is all the way around there. Yes, yeah. So that is, you know, so if you can blot a little bit beforehand, but a lot of times, you know, you kind of just walk in together, you kind of go in together, and then you're sitting down. Yeah. So there may not be an opportunity for you to blot. So that's why, you know, if that happens, and even if you do blot, if you're still seeing your lipstick around, you don't want it all the way. It just doesn't look good. No. Again, impressions, you know, it matters, right? When it comes to, okay, so let's say our utensils so we finished our meal, and now we're gonna have dessert. Yum! So our utensils up on top, so the tines face the right, the handles face the left, the bowl of the spoon will face the left, and the handles face the right for a reason, because now they come down like this. Oh. Our forks are always to the left. Our spoons and knives are always going to be on the right. Okay? So now we're ready for that. So now it's also not going to be with this much stuff all over. Okay? So let's just say that they've brought us coffee like this. Okay? So the handle will always face the right. When you're stirring your coffee after you've put everything in, so you open up your packet, you want to leave you don't want to break it all the way. You also don't want to play with your utensils. So you don't want to rip the packet and then put it in, right? So you leave a little bit like this, and then you put it in, and then you stir. It's front to back, front to back. You don't need to let everybody know that you are stirring. So it's just front to back, and then it goes behind. So remember, you never put a utensil back on the table. It always stays, you know, resting, finished, etc. But for our coffee, it'll be right there. So we also have salt and pepper shakers right here. So the rule with the salt and pepper is they are a pair, therefore they travel as such. So no matter which one is requested, they both go together, and then you pass them. Now when they're small like this, you know, if I were to do that, how would you get them, right? You don't want to get them from top, because that's where it comes out, and you don't want to put your hands on top. So then I would place them down like this, and then you would just continue to pass them to the right. Now sometimes they're the longer ones, and I might be able to pass it like this, and then you take, etc. Okay. When you leave to go to the ladies' room, your napkin goes on the seat. When you are through with your meal, it goes to the left of where your plate, because by now all of the plates would have been taken away. Right. So, but my plate would have been right here. I mean, there's no question where that goes, right? So my plate would have been, so let's say that all of my plates have been taken away, like that.
So going on a bathroom break to let the waiters know, you put it on your seat.
Correct. Okay. And now they've already picked up all of my plates, right? And this is what I'm left with. Yes. So my napkin, now it doesn't have to be folded perfectly, but you don't want to get it and then just toss it. So you just do something like this to the left of where the plate would have been, and that signals to everybody that you are through with your meal.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm getting out of this is you're pretty much showing respect for the other person.
Yes.
Is that why table manners are so important?
Yeah.
You're showing that you care about other people's company, and
Yes.
so you don't want to have a mess.
Yeah.
You're respecting other people's.
Right. And again, and let's, when and now that you know, like, these little things, and you start thinking, and you start going out, then you're going to start paying attention to what they're doing, right?
Yes.
People don't go around saying, "Hi, I'm Jules, I have table manners, do you?" I mean, they don't do that, but they'll be able to tell by how you handle and how you navigate this. And again, people can say all they want that they don't care. It doesn't matter. I am who I am. But as soon as they sit down, and it's like, something like where we sat down to, where there's forks and there's knives and there's this, and this was not, I sat down for 7 courses.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, so that's, this is my thing. This is easy. You should be able to navigate this, no problem.
Right.
Because there are actually, more courses to a meal than just, soup, salad, etc.
Yeah, and people say they don't care, but when someone knows what they're doing, you take
That
and
confidence.
Yes.
That confidence. And that's all etiquette is. It's giving you the confidence to handle yourself in any situation. Whether you go to a networking event, whether you sit down to a multi-course meal, you want to be confident in what you're doing so that you can concentrate at the business at hand. Whether it be a date, whether it be a job interview, meeting future in-laws, whatever it is, done. So many good and bad, unfortunately, things happen at a dinner table. Yeah. So you want to concentrate on that business, whatever it is. This stuff should be second nature. Mm-hmm. Just like brushing your hair and brushing your teeth. You don't think about it anymore, right? You just do it. Well, that's what we want. That's our hope here, is that you'll take these tools so that you can just sit down and you know exactly what for, you know exactly what to do. So that way they're just concentrating on you and that impression that you're leaving them with.
I love that. One last question. What are the elements of a good posture when you are having this dinner with someone or lunch with someone?
Sure. So you don't want to do this. That diminishes, that takes away from you, right? So you want to, so back to your question. So don't do this. Keep your arms below. You're going to eat with your right hand. So you do this, and then you just, if you must put something on the table, then it would just be your forearms right here. But generally speaking, we eat. If you're left-handed, then you would eat like this, and then your left arm would be down on your lap, just like this. Now, obviously, if you need to do, your right hand and your left hand, then you do this or whatever. Then you switch hands if you're going to eat the American way, and then you just do this. At no time should somebody see the top of your head, meaning you don't want to eat like this. You eat, and then again, making eye contact with whomever is at the table with you. If you're somebody who eats really, really fast, or if you're somebody who eats really, really slow, like I eat slow because I talk a lot. So we all want to keep pace with each other at the table, which meaning we should all be done, like halfway done together. Yeah. So we want to keep, so if you're somebody who talks a lot, and there are people who just, the plate comes and they're just used to.
I know a few people like that.
Yeah, so do I. And it's because, and he always says because he's in construction, so he doesn't have a lot of time to eat. So when he eats, he takes it, he eats, and then he goes on to the next thing. But this is not, and then like I said, I talk a lot, so sometimes. So
we have to find a happy medium.
You have to find a happy medium because it's not just about you.
Yes.
It's about everyone at the table keeping company, part of a good dining experience is the conversation that you have. You're not going to have a good conversation if you're inhaling your food, if you're talking to one person when there's 7 other people, or if you're always on your phone. So on this table, you see our plates, you see stemware, you see forks and napkins, a salt and pepper shaker. But nowhere on here did you see a cell phone. Nowhere on here did you see a mask or a little purse or folders or papers. All of that stays, down below on your lap or, behind you on the seat. you want to make sure that you are making conversation with everyone at the table, not just to the person to the left or to the right of me. Now it may be difficult to talk to somebody right across from me because it may be loud, a lot of outside noise. Yeah. But you never ever want to have one person, two people talking here, and then and then I'm just sitting here by myself. You always want to bring in that person.
You want to make everyone feel welcome.
And that's all. And that's manners is making sure that your actions make other people feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
If you keep that in mind, you'll be good to go. Okay. Even if you can't remember that the salt and pepper. Because again, if you're making everybody feel comfortable, you will be remembered for that.
No, I love that. A little bit goes a long way. I just hate that we're running out of time. There's just so much information. Yep. Is there anything that we left off that you'd like to share with our viewers before we wrap up?
That kind of is everything in a nutshell. But once you start practicing this, you'll see that so many things make sense. And then maybe take an etiquette class to actually go through all the individual bacon. Is it a finger food? Or is it knife and fork? There are so many other little things and that we could have covered, but again, because of time. So, I would encourage you, take a dining etiquette class. You will be so happy that you did.
Absolutely. And if you guys are in LA or if you live here, if you're traveling, be sure to check out her classes. You do one-on-ones or you also do group settings.
Correct.
Yes, there's so much to learn. I feel like this really is going to help so many people, just the whole dining experience on another level. You can walk in and you'll feel just more comfortable and it's amazing. I love this. I feel like everyone should take a class.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. I thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. I can't wait to go to more inns again and know how to navigate this so perfectly. So I'm excited.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.